Americana, Oli, Pop Rock Radio. Estás escuchando Jamie Roxx de Pop Rock Radio. Manténganse al tanto.
Hej, det här är Hits från Sverige och ni lyssnar till Pop Rock Radio med Jamie Roxx.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is the Pop Roxx Radio Talk Show. I'm your host, pop art painter Jamie Roxx, and this is the big show. You found it. I'm glad you did. I am super excited today, ladies and gentlemen. Super excited. We have a fantastic guest. He is the lead singer of a great folk Americana band from California Mr. Martin, I forgot your last name already. It's not in front of me. Martin Maudal, say.
Close enough.
Maudal. Is that how it is? Maudal?
I think you're saying Maudal.
Maudal.
It's Norwegian, amazingly enough.
How cool is that? He's the lead singer, folks, and I believe one of the guitar players of the Baldy Crawlers. These guys are phenomenal. And yeah, Baldy Crawlers, Mount Baldy. I'm saying that right. Now I'm second guessing myself on everything. I hope I'm saying it right, Martin. I hope.
You are.
All right.
You're doing great, Jamie.
All right. Whew. I can make it the 50. All I want, Martin, is to go the distance. No one's ever went the distance with Martin. I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. There's young kids watching this, and they have no idea of that Rocky reference. And it's a shame. First off, if you're going to watch a movie, kids, youngsters, don't watch it on your phone or a laptop. Go find a screen somewhere, like a TV screen, at the very least, and watch Rocky. It's, yes, there is boxing in it, but it's not a boxing movie. It's really a love story. Anyway, that's my movie advice for the week. Trust me. Yeah, I'm telling you, guys, if you watch that with your beautiful lady, your gal or whatever, or gals, I'm not judging anybody. If that happens to be your trip, good for you. Same thing. Anyway, women, once you can finally get them to watch that movie, they're like, "Ooh, it's so sensitive. It's wonderful."
And I thought you were talking about Rocky Horror Picture Show for a second there.
No, that's another good one. That's another
a whole other thing.
Yeah, you're going to wind up in fishnets, though, is all I'm saying. The gals will like, "Hey, we're not doing anything this Wednesday."
With scenes.
Yeah. But these high heels, no, Rocky Horror Picture Shows. The funny thing is, I am not, all my in-laws, my wife, everybody. First off, they're a family of girls, and they all did band and theater and all this growing up. They're really into musicals. They love musicals. Even my father-in-law, they're into watching musical movies. I myself am not. It's just not something I ever gravitated towards. However, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is a musical, and I think it's great. So, there you go. There you go. I'm the same way with cartoons, and they're all a Disney family. You can't be a Disney family and not dig cartoons.
People used to ask me where I got my accent from since I grew up in Southern California, and I blamed it on Bugs Bunny.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Because you realize it could have went the other way. It could have went to Elmer Fudd, and that would have been really weird.
Yeah.
Now, you're Norwegian, right?
Yeah, half Norwegian on one side. My dad was from Norway, came over here to go to school with his degree in engineering.
I got you. Yeah, my dad was an engineer as well, a mechanical engineer. And in our family, my brother-in-law, my father, everybody, sister-in-law, they're all engineers, but they're, what do they do? Commercial engineering? Is that? Yeah. Wastewater treatment plant, stuff like that. Parks, roads. But yeah, I don't know how they would put you to. My dad had a machine shop, a few of them, and that's where I would spend summers. Terrible.
Yeah, my dad was into aerospace. He worked at aerodynamics here for a while. So that's where I got part of my thing about design and thinking in terms of engineering, because the guitar thing, just to bring that up, because that's part of my shtick here, is that a lot of these songs were originally written just to demo the guitars that I built. And a good part of that is engineering. Another part of it is just straight art, which I got from my grandpa. And then my mom was the folk singer. So all of that kind of came together into this weird harebrained scheme I got going.
As they would say in ancient Rome, cum sum laude. Out of all of us, here it is. Yeah, that's amazing. I knew a cat. There was a guy where I rented this apartment, me and my ex-wife, in San Diego in the Hillcrest area. Anyway, the condo was here. Then there was an alley, and then there was businesses like an industrial warehouse type. And there was a guy in there who made guitars. I can't remember his name for the life of me. It's been a long time ago, 20 years. But I would go over there just because it was a shop, and I'm a guy, and I liked hanging out in that shop and BSing with him and stuff. But he was into it, man. I remember I had no idea how difficult and just work intensive that making guitars. And then when I saw in your bio and stuff and on Facebook, and folks, we have links. We have clickable links down in the description below for your custom guitars. I started thinking about that. And it takes some skill. You don't just roll out of bed on a Wednesday and say, I don't think I'm going to work today at my Chili's down here. I'm gonna make a guitar.
Actually, that's what I do. Roll out of bed, get some coffee, walk about 30 feet over to the shed and start doing the thing. That's what I like. The fact that it's just all right there. But I have a couple of different sheds. So it's actually good physically too, because I have to walk all over the place. And every time I do, whatever tool I had in my hand is in the other one. It's in the other place every time. I even got these pockets on my big old leather bib thing to put them in. And so actually I did put a tool in it once and I couldn't find it for a week until I finally looked in the pocket that I designed specifically for that. But it took me a week to do it. So it's just like that.
I am having flashbacks to yesterday. I was out. We have a big, giant vegetable garden. And we had to put netting up around it because of the iguanas. Bad to get in there. And they'll eat a plant, no matter what it is, down to the ground. They'll eat the whole thing. And the netting keeps them out. We have all kinds of stuff to keep out the iguanas. So I was fixing the netting for this upcoming spring when the iguanas start really coming out after our cooler weather here. And the staple gun, I was having the Maudal experience with his tools with my staple gun. Oh my God. I'm like, okay, it's all in place. I'm holding it. Where's my
just
staple
disappeared.
Gun?
The second that I'm done using it, it disappears from my hand and I have no idea where it got to. Until the next time.
I'm telling you. And my wife laughs at me because she tried to use my staple gun once and I was concerned. And so she finally gets the box that the staple gun is in. I will lose the whole box. Here's the thing, though. And she opens it. Now, I bought this staple gun probably 5 years ago. And to this day, I still keep it in the little bubble wrap pocket thing it came in. When it's all in the box, like brand new. And this is 5 years old, and you still have it looks like it just came home from the store. I'm like, yeah, that's why it always works. I take care of that. Because when you need it, it's important, you know.
It is. Tools are the thing, man.
I'm telling you.
All kinds of tools.
I am that way.
Yeah, it's actually fun making your own tools sometimes. Like when I was first doing this, if you get me talking about the actual building process, I won't shut up. I promise you. And that's just the way it is with every single luthier I've ever been with. But the fun thing is making your own means of doing different processes in the thing. Instead of, because there's 100 different places that will sell enthusiasts tools for way too much money. Right. And you can't, so actually making your own means of doing this. Yeah, for one thing, it's cheaper, but it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's done right and it'll work. That's so important. It reminds me of car guys. I guess I'm a car guy and I like to watch the videos. I don't like the actual physical process of working on cars. I never have. It's just you're under the thing and you're doing something, and all this stuff's falling in your face, and it's just. And the guys in the videos always have all the right. They're like, let's put it up on the lift. I don't have a lift. You know what I mean? And they have all the tool impact wrenches and stuff. I have bloodied knuckles by the end of my adventure because I don't have that stuff. But they're like that. They love their stuff. But sometimes when you work on older cars, you have to manufacture the part for the car because sometimes you can't find them, and or the tool. Oh man, now I'm having flashbacks about that. I changed UV joints in a car one time years ago. I didn't have that tool to.
That's one of those things where I decided I'm not going to wear that hat because there's so many different things that you already have to do if you're trying to do this kind of thing that artists do, that sometimes you just got to say, okay, somebody else gets to wear that one, not me. I'm not messing with my own. Sorry.
And it's so weird. My father loved, that was a fun afternoon. Let's take the engine apart, clean it, and put it back together. He loved that kind of stuff. And I didn't. But he also loved me helping him do that kind of stuff. I didn't. But that was one of my crosses to bear when I was a teen. But it's so weird. I remember this conversation with him. He's like, why don't you want to get out and work on this car? I said, Dad, he goes, what about the future when you need to know this stuff? I said, I'm going to be like Picasso. I'm going to be a famous artist. I'll pay people to do this. And he goes, first off, you won't know if they're ripping you off if you don't know what you're talking about, what they're talking about. And second, this is good information to have. But I didn't pay much mind to him. And I am now the friend with my wife's a little younger than me. And with all of her friend group, they'll call her. I don't use a phone, so they don't call me, but I have one on the computer. But they usually call her, and I'm like, and I'm this guy. I don't know how this happened, Martin. I have no idea. They'll hold the phone. The engine's making a weird noise, and they'll hold the phone to the engine, and I'll know what it is. I'm like, oh.
That can tell you a lot, actually.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And it amazes me. I'm like, how did I acquire that? And I'm like helping my father, holding flashlights and fetching sockets, and it seeped into me, man. It seeped into me. Anyway. So guitars, that's cool. That is very cool. And your background I get the Americana, the folk and everything. That's a genre of music I'm very excited about because it's truly, I don't want to say it's American because surely they have folk music in Sweden and places, but it just seems that everybody I know, if you go back a generation or two, there's rural activity. Oh yeah, my great-grandfather, he worked on a farm, he did this or that, and this is the type of, especially country and America. I mean, it's right there. But my love of folk that's something kind of music my father would always play in the shops from his youth in the 60s and 50s and whatnot. He was into it, and I would listen to this stuff, Blowing in the Wind and the classic.
Yeah, I first got that from my mom. My mom was very into folk, and when I was like, I don't know, 3 feet tall, really little kid, this was in Pomona, and if you know about the Pomona Valley, that scene, there were a lot of people like Joan Baez and other people like that, the We Five, the Kingston Trio. And my mom was really into that, and she was in the scene a little bit and had a couple of these guys, the Kingston Trio and the We Five, came over and partied at the house. And that was my first experience of live music. Now, I was not particularly into it since it was fairly late and I wanted to sleep, but nonetheless, it got into me. But then it was a long time before I came back to it because I don't know if you... So I went off to a school that was primarily about jazz, and that's what I was into. And then came around to all these mixtures of different things. And to me, that's what Americana is. Americana really is a mixture of a lot of different influences. But between the folk and Americana thing, to me, it's mostly about stories. It's mostly about stories, human stories. And it might be rural, but it also might be in the middle of the city. But it's about the people who live there. It's not about one being better than another or one being so different that we can't all relate to all the stuff that we feel. Because for me, that's the wonderful thing. That's the best thing about music is that it's about us. And there isn't really anything that can't be said in music, not necessarily with the words, not always with the words, that pretty much every human on the planet can feel and can relate to. And,
Absolutely.
It's
Very true. I remember being a teen and I was hanging out with some of my weirdo friends and we all had crazy hair and this and that. And we went I grew up in Detroit and we went over to Chicago for the weekend, 6-hour drive, but it was not, we didn't know anybody there. We knew everybody in Detroit in that scene. So we got a hotel, and in those days, you didn't have to show ID at the hotel. You just paid them and whatnot, and they didn't even ask for it. And I had several, if truth be known, various ages, but we wouldn't have done that. But they just had you sign in. And I remember my friends, they didn't understand the joke. I signed in as Virgil Caine when you said Joan Baez. This memory bubbled up. And for those who don't know, if you YouTube the great song, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down by Joan Baez, Virgil Caine was the name. And I had heard that song probably 100 times in my dad's shop. And yeah, that's what I signed in under because I was 16 or whatever. And that seemed like a good...
Why not?
Yeah, fun. I thought they would recognize Ben Franklin, but I didn't. Virgil Caine worked, so... Anyway, yeah, I get it. I love that also. And yeah, jazz. I spent one summer, my dad had a friend. I was like, I'm not working in your machine shop this summer. It's not going to happen. And because he would work you hard. And yeah, so I got it. He came and he goes, that's fine. He goes, I was talking to my friend Frank, and Frank's got a job for you over at his shop. And I'm like, Frank's African American. At least the music will be better. It was my thought process. And it was all jazz. And I learned a lot about jazz that summer, just working in there on machines and hearing that music, which I thought was great. Because with jazz, the thing I like about jazz is it's not as predictable as other types of music.
For me, a lot of so I started with drums. That's one thing everybody should know. That was my first instrument. Grandparents got me. I used to bang on the back seat of my grandparents' car all the time. And so they got me a drum kit for my birthday / Christmas one year. Nice. And just, oh my God, my neighbors. It was hilarious. But I don't know. I just started banging on the things and I took to it like I was born to it. But the thing is, so jazz is very interesting and really challenging on drums. But for me, what really started doing it was harmonically, where jazz can go harmonically speaking. So taking that, because you start talking too much about jazz and a lot of people's eyelids will start to droop and stuff. Sometimes it's a little bit too much for people, but I love taking that harmony and putting it in other contexts. And so we come to this business of going to Americana and folk. For me, folk is the story part, but Americana can include all of that jazz harmony.
It's an American animal, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Americana. It is. It's part of it. Just as blues is, just as Dixieland and Appalachian music and all of these different things have their roots coming from different parts of the world, but it all came here and blended together. And we continue to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of these songs. I do want there to be surprising things that happen every now and then. And so I'll dip into my jazz bag of weird chords and stuff and just play with it. And
that's cool.
And see what happens.
That is cool. That tickles my cerebral fancies. I know. I love it. I love it. And what people don't understand too is with these traditional music, like I said, you don't have to go too far back to get to a relative. It's like that show, Finding Your Roots or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody, a couple generations, and I'm talking to everybody out there, one of your ancestors, probably a lot of your ancestors, worked a real tough job, real hard job. And they needed a break every so often. They needed some entertainment. They needed some, if they went to the city, they needed some excitement. And jazz is that. Especially is such a physical thing. I grew up, all my friends were musicians, and because they had the best party, and they were just cool. They were a fun hang. And people are like, why didn't you hang out with painters? I didn't know any painters. I was in my high school. I was it. I was the art guy.
I grew up with guys who did things like there were these 3 little houses on Oberlin in Claremont. And a couple of our friends lived in one and a couple in the other, a couple more in the one in the back. And there was an old Ford Cortina, and my friend Martin Betts owned it, and it didn't run anymore. And so one day there's a bonfire going, little drinking happening, and he decided to take a sledgehammer to the thing and hacksaws and whatever else. And we all just went off on it. And then he started taking off the sheet metal body parts. And that was his canvas. For a year, he used just these ripped off parts of a Ford Cortina as his canvas. And he was doing these weird human shapes and stuff like that. And he took this theme and worked it for at least a year. And it was so cool. And it all came out of this chaos. That's one of the reasons why I have so many painters and artists of other disciplines in my life, because they do shit like that.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And folks, any of the younger people out there listening or watching or whatnot, now make sure you do. This is the old man in me. I'm an old man now. Make sure you do it safely. Think a little bit. But I will say, if you want a cheap... Bonfires are like a mini nightclub for kids, something. It's cheap, it's free. If you can, I've been to many bonfires where we burned a pallet. Don't be roasting weenies over that or marshmallows, because you don't want the chemicals in the pallet on your marshmallow. But
definitely don't be doing it up in the mountains or any other place that can burn.
Yeah, don't. Like I said, be safe.
If you're in California, don't be doing that.
Yeah, be smart. Be smart. And yeah, we have a real problem with all these fires. I'm telling you, that could get me started on a whole other thing. They used to.
Yeah, I didn't really want to cast a darkness on this thing here, but that's true.
It's needed. What happened is they banned these controlled burns in a lot of places. I don't know if California is one. I know Oregon and a few places.
Not here. They still do it.
What it does is it clears out a lot of that undergrowth and whatnot. You don't have that. Yeah, you've made you know how you use little sticks, folks, when you start a campfire? Imagine a forest of those, get out of hand quick.
Another thing they started doing, which early on they would replant places that got logged, and they'd replant it with the same species of tree over 10,000 acres. And so one bug that gets into one of those trees just sweeps across the whole thing. Same thing happens with fire, but when you reseed with all the different species that would normally grow there, like 100 different species in an acre, it doesn't happen quite like that anymore. We're learning. We haven't always been very brilliant about it, but we're getting there.
The roots of a lot of your music. Oh man, I watched a documentary a couple of years ago on the Midwest Dust Bowl, and I was horrified. And it was horrifying. A lot of people died. And not just from dust, ladies and gentlemen. Static electricity would build up from all this blowing dust. And if you had a plow sitting there and you were like when you rub your feet on the carpet.
What? Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And
I hadn't heard of that.
It was so intense. It wasn't like a little carpet rubbing shock when you kiss your wife. It was like defibrillator level stuff coming out.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah. I was like, I'm like, geez. Yeah, maybe not. Don't plant corn there again for the 300th time, huh? How about that? How about that? Something else. I don't know. But some hemp, maybe, to deal with living out there. Anyway, let's play a track. Let's play a track so people know what we're talking about. Should we play that last? I've got a list here. What do we want to play first? We got 4 tracks to play. We've got Boy, Bring Me a Flower, The Gardener, and Thick Moon Paint. These are all bangers. These are all ones I really enjoy. Been playing them a lot here in the studio. What should we go with first, Martin?
I'm going to be like the owner of that pizza place in Mystic Pizza and said, big food critic comes in and stuff, and she just grabs the first pizza and sends it out there without even looking at it. So I'll let you do that. You pick one.
Folks, we were just talking about my adventures, and those who follow my blog and social media know that since the pandemic, I did not grow up as a gardener. It was something I picked up because I had some free time during the pandemic, and I am definitely a gardener now. And
Me too. Love it.
Oh yeah, there's challenges with it like anything, but that satisfaction, number one, the food's great. It tastes way better if you grow it yourself. And number two, I love eating a Brussels sprout that I have grown and calculating in my mind, if I ate 500 of these, I think of the money I have just saved from buying 500. That's my thought process on it. Not that anybody's ever going to go buy 500 Brussels sprouts, but if I did, it wouldn't cost me.
It would cost you more than growing it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have friends who are very hippy dippy, they're into all this. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not, as my wife would say, throwing shade at anybody. But it is nice that I know we gave some vegetables I have two young nieces, and to my brother and sister-in-law, and we had grown it, you know what I mean? And I felt really good knowing, and they seemed to really enjoy it, and the little ones too. And I'm like, I felt good because I'm like, I know where that food is from. I know it was grown. You know what I mean? I know it has no sprays or pesticides or any of that on there. And
I'm a tomato guy myself.
Oh, yeah. See, here's how
tomatoes are fun because, and then you grow basil around it too, and other things as well. Mm-hmm. The next thing you know, you've got a tomato sauce. And humility is a really good thing, but it doesn't have a place in certain things like my spaghetti sauce. It's the best that anyone will have tasted. I will challenge anyone out there at a spaghetti sauce, an Italian sauce cook-off. And many have tried and left with their tails between their legs. I'm very sorry for that, but it's just the way it is. Anyway, you get your own tomatoes out of the garden, you walk into the house and you make your own sauce with that. There's nothing quite like that. That's pretty good.
No, and it's weird. In South Florida, we have the opposite growing season of everybody else because we're tropical. And so for tomatoes, real hard to grow in the spring and summer here. It's too hot. Too hot. And a tomato plant won't fruit if the temperature's over 85 degrees.
Right, I know, it's tough.
And that's 85 degrees that's a cool day for us here. So we have a native kind that originated, I think, in Mexico that grows fantastic. And it evolved, and they call it the Everglades tomato. And I've never tasted a more tomatoey flavor. But the problem is, they're about the size of a cherry. And one plant will grow 10,000 Everglades tomato, the tomato part. But so if you want to make a sauce, my wife wanted to, and I'm like, what? She goes, I'm going to get some tomatoes. And I'm like, well, you're probably going to have to get 1,000 of them.
A lot of them.
to make the sauce.
I keep trying plum tomatoes, and for some reason we have a real difficult time doing plum tomatoes around here, the Italiano ones and stuff like that. Yeah. So I have to go with other things. There's this one, Kellogg's Breakfast. I don't know if you've ever done that. It's a yellow one. Oh, my God.
Nice. I've heard of it, but
I almost start drooling just thinking about it. They're just so good. They're so good.
Oh, yeah. In our winters, we can sometimes grow traditional fruits and vegetables that can grow other places because it's cooler, usually. And I tried growing tomatoes, and I don't even know why we have what do they call them, hookworms or whatever, or not hookworms, hawkworms.
The tomato worms?
Yeah, the tomato worms.
Big, huge green things?
Yeah, the big green ones. They grow into some kind of big moth. The hawk moth is where I'm thinking that is. But they all show, it was like Studio 54 in our garden. They're like, yes, grow these. We like these. And they ate them all down. It was crazy. Anyway, the track we're going to play. See, folks?
I was going to say, let's play that track.
Yeah, exactly. This is The Gardener, and I love it. It's one of my favorites. The Baldy Crawlers. Here it is, The Gardener. Check it out.
I once met a man with his heart in the earth. He's worked all his life and he knows what it's worth. He don't know where he's going, just knows where he's been. You can smell death coming before you see him. He has mud on his hands, he don't want to let it go. Eyes close to the ground for to watch it all grow. The moons and the rains are all he's following. But you can smell death coming before you see him. Oh, why do we lose everything we win? And you can smell death coming before you see him. His wife and his babes, they've all gone away. Still he lights for the light on the leaves every day. From on high far on his magic garden, though he can smell death coming before he sees him. He can't find his heart, so he loves with his hands. The things that he touches, the wood and the land. Over time through his fingers he feels it slipping, and he can smell death coming before he sees him. Oh, why do we lose everything we win? And we can smell death coming before we see him. The love that he's made, it is dearly in part. With all of the blood and the pain unsought, so he'll hold on to life with all his being, though he can smell death coming before he sees him. So all of our moments and all of our love will rise up in the sky like so many white doves. They'll clear the horizon with all their men, for all of the choices that we imagine. And we can run from the fear like immortal sin, or we can meet death coming like we've already been.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. I told you, great track. I love it. The Gardener. And all these tracks are available, I believe. And yes, I'm looking right now. I don't know if I see the Gardener here, but these are all available, right? On your
The Gardener is in the EP called The Fetished Heart. So there's 3 tunes on that one.
Nice.
We're actually going to be re-releasing a few of these tunes. Just as you learn, you get better at your craft and your art. And a lot of what's been going on, I've had some really great partnerships develop with some other guys. And the thing is, the more ears that can be involved in a project like this, the better it gets.
Right.
There's a couple of shout outs I'd like to do. Barry Wood he started off just doing the mixing and mastering, but he's really become almost a co-producer at this point. wonderful magic ears. And so some of the later things that we've done have just grown as far as like the art of it, the craft of it, the whole sound and the vibe. And a lot of it has to do with him. A lot of it has to do with the singers who have been working with me. You had mentioned I'm a lead singer. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I do the harmonies. I love to sing. It's just people don't quite love to hear me sing as much as I love to do it. So, you know, what you do if you're smart, you find people who really are singers. And Norelle Thompson, she's the one who was the lead singer on Bring Me a Flower. And on Boy, that's Elizabeth Hangen. And they do harmonies together, and I do harmonies with them. And it really just is pretty wonderful. Now, that was David Millard, who was singing lead on The Gardener. And I thought he just brought such a simple soul to that song. It's a story. I think the song speaks for itself when it comes to the story, but he just brought so much to that track. I loved it.
No, that's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I've said this on the show before, but I read a couple years ago, somebody did a biography on David Bowie, and all it really was, I don't even want to say they wrote it because they really didn't. They just compiled all these other interviews that he had done while he was alive and whatnot. Yeah. And one of the interviewers in one of those had asked him, he said, man, you have such amazing tracks and whatnot, like every time, consistently. How do you do that? And he very wisely said, when you work with the best, you get pretty good results. Anything you're doing.
And that's absolutely true. There's no such thing as a solo project. I don't care if you're the front person of the thing. You're still just a front person among many other people who make the thing happen. That's another thing that's really wonderful about this thing that I fell into. In one sense, I'm doing the guitar thing where it's just me in the shop by myself. But in order to do all of the music stuff, it's all collaboration. And it's I don't know, there's a lot of different kinds of relationships that people have. But this kind of relationship that develops around music, when you work with people bringing these kinds of ideas that come from so deep in you and they help you make it a reality. It's a thing that was just some neurons firing in your head at one point. It became this real thing. But the fun thing about music is you only experience it as it's happening. You can look at a CD and is that the music? No. You look at your phone because there are ones and zeros in there. Is that the music? No. The only time music actually is when it's happening and when someone is hearing it and experiencing it in the moment. And those moments are not possible without these other people.
Absolutely. It's like the whole AI thing. It's easy for us creative types, us artists, people are often surprised. They're like, Jamie, you're not in the streets with a torch and a pitchfork on this. I'm like, I'm not that worried about it. And they're like, yeah, but these AIs can do, I said, they might be able to do something. For me, in my world, the most difficult part of a painting isn't painting it. It's having the idea of what I'm going to paint. That's that's the heavy lifting. Anybody can develop skills and whatever.
When somebody can show me that an AI was actually able to collaborate with someone else, then maybe it will have arrived. Now, I'm a futurist, okay? So for me, I think it's actually entirely possible that at some point in time, an actual real, by the way, there's no such thing as AI right now, artificial intelligence or autonomous intelligence. It's not that. It's an algorithm. Okay. But if there ever is, I love sci-fi. I've grown up with it my entire life. For 40 years, I was never without a book in my hands. Right. So that's another thing. If you're ever going to write songs, read books, read them, a lot of them, read them for a long time. Okay. Let's do that.
You wouldn't have.
So anyway, the point is though, at one point there will be, I believe there will be an actual autonomous intelligence that didn't evolve from a biological thing. Okay. Now at that point in time, then it's a whole other conversation. But what we have now is a tool, and it can be either used for good or for ill. It can either be used to help.
Like any tool.
Yeah, exactly. And so that really is all it is. So if someone wants to get mad at AI, get mad at the person who's using it or get mad at the business. It's my considered opinion that once a corporation gets to a certain size, it loses the ability to make human decisions.
Absolutely.
And it's not, I don't think it's something that happens on purpose, but it happens nonetheless. So if you want to be mad at AI, be mad at the people who are basically using it to line their pockets and at the expense of whoever else happens to be in the way.
Exactly.
It's not the technology, it's the people using it.
And
that's
folks, you have to remember, and I tell people this all the time, especially younger people I know, they're like, Jamie, the world. I said, yeah, the world's weird. The world's different right now than we have experienced. And here's the thing with AI. You have all these people talking a lot of smack. And I'm an old man. I'm an old man who's been in entertainment for half my life. I will tell you this from experience. When people talk a lot out of their backsides, hold on to your wallet, make sure it's in your front pocket, because it's a money grab situation. You know what I mean? You walk onto a car dealership, a car lot to buy a car, that salesman's going to tell you a lot about that car. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. His goal is to sell the car. You have to keep that in mind. And a lot of these tech companies or tech bro, whatever you want to call them, are trying to get investors. They're trying to make it exciting and dangerous. And this
that's a really good point. Dangerous is sexy, and that attracts a certain number of people. If you are out there and you are aspiring to be a songwriter, and if it's something that you feel in your heart and you really want to bring it out there, don't ever let anything like, oh, AI is taking over, stop you.
No.
Because nothing out there can stop a human being who has a mission, who just loves what they do.
And you can tell, you can see when a creative person is selling you something that they've made, whether it be music, whatever, biscuits, it doesn't matter. You can taste that little bit of their soul that they're sharing with you. And frankly, AI doesn't have that. I haven't seen that. People ask,
I'm not worried about it. I heard some country song got on it hit an algorithm, goosed an algorithm's vagus nerve or something like that. But as far as like actual country out there, it didn't make a dent. It was there for a minute and then was gone.
Just like a novelty song.
Already, doing music is already such a huge endeavor. It's already such an intense project that the only thing that really best keeps me in the right place for it is just to go, it takes just as long to not do it as it does to do it. Time's going to go by anyway. And so I may as well just do the thing.
Well, people get all worked up in music. They're like, I'm an old man. I remember, and I grew up in Detroit, birthplace of techno. I remember.
Detroit.
Yeah, it was different in those days. I hear it's nice now, and you hardly ever see a car on fire. It's amazing. But when I
first moved to New York, it was still like that when I first moved to New York, but it got better.
Oh, yeah, where Times Square, people now walk around Times Square without looking over their shoulder. It's like amazing. It wasn't always that way. But I remember when in the dance music scene, where DJs actually had to know how to spin vinyl and beat mix by ear, where the songs didn't seem to fade out and fade in and whatnot. Now computers do all that. So if you're listening to you go to a big fancy Las Vegas nightclub now, yeah, they've got a cool DJ and whatnot, but there's a laptop, probably several, doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that endeavor. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying we used to do it better. Yeah, we did it different because we had to. We didn't have the choice. Believe me, if you had a time machine and you went back in time and gave Beethoven a Fairlight Series 3 synthesizer and a drum machine, he would be all over that. He would be like, this is amazing. I don't have to.
They're great. And they've developed a lot since. Remember, during the pandemic, a lot of people started doing this kind of thing. The very technology we're using right now to do this didn't exist so much before that. it was where I first started collaborating with people all over the country. The singer I was working with at the time was in Virginia. Another guy was in Texas, and other guys were in Northern California. They were all over the place, and we were able to collaborate like that. And that's a tool. And I have no problem. I can record some of the stuff that we do, like maybe my first guitar part, I'll record at home. And then I'll bring that over to the studio and then bring the guys in, and then we'll start building it that way. But these are also, they're just tools that didn't exist before. So I have no problem taking advantage of that, and not letting it get in the way of the music itself. It's one of the reasons why I started focusing more on some of these simpler songs. A folk song like The Gardener, which was played, is really a very simple arrangement. There's not a lot of tricks and doodads and flashing lights going on in that song. It's very simple.
But it doesn't need it.
Yeah.
And people ask me they're like, AI and art. I'm like, what do you want? I said, I use different things. I use oil paints and acrylics and whatnot that were manufactured in a factory. You want me to be like Michelangelo and go out here and collect some berries and crush them? And
I know a guy who would do just that, but he was very slow.
Yeah. I've got a wife that likes shoes, man. Look at me. Look at my size. I like to eat, and I can't grow steaks in the garden yet. No, they won't allow livestock in our city. But, yeah, there's things of convenience. And in my gig, I'll tell you this. I have no problem saying this. And even if clients hear this, because it's very true in the art world, as long as rich people like to show off, I'm in business. You know what I mean?
That's true.
We got some new art. Let's have a cocktail party and show this off. And the number of people I have gotten commissions from that start the conversation with, I'm friends with such, and they got some new art. Can you do something bigger and maybe this? Yes, I can. As long as the check's clear, not a problem. And people always ask me too, they're like, Jamie, how come you sell some stuff on a lower price scale? I'm like, because I'm trying to get my stuff out for everybody, not just high-end people. And wealthy people I deal with, very rarely are they buying a 16 by 20 size canvas painting. But when you see me list, this was 36 by 48 or whatever, that they wrote a check for that. And the prices reflect that. But it's just all part of it.
The art world is an intricate and interesting world in itself. And weirdly, that's where I first started getting my guitars out.
Yeah, because they are a work of art. If you look at the skill set, you can tell the difference between an artist and a craftsman is that skill set. You know what I mean? You look at it and you're like, ooh, this guy. I just posted a video about this guy. I saw this online. There's this old Mexican dishwasher, and I don't know where he's at. He's in Houston or Dallas or somewhere, and his son owns a restaurant, and he's the dishwasher, the old man. But that's not how he he drives a Bentley, and that's not how he bought that Bentley washing dishes, pearl diving. That ain't it. His real passion is he doesn't make he takes an existing gun and he carves the handle or the stock or whatever into these amazing scenes. It reminds me of like classical Chinese, you know how they'll do those wood carvings where it's a whole village. And it's like that. Wow. And it's just beautiful, the work and the skill, because on that stuff, it's like with your guitar, if you screw it up, it ain't like, I can fix it. Let me get some medium white here and paint over it.
That's people have asked why I don't do. I have friends who do guitar restoration and that kind of stuff. And that's why I don't do that, because you take somebody's 100-year-old Martin, you can't make mistakes. Right. There is no mistake making in that. No. Me, I can do all kinds of creative mistakes on my guitar as I'm building it, and often do. In fact, sometimes it changes the very design of it in the process of that. But that's pretty intense when you take somebody's generational treasure and you're supposed to restore it. Yeah, don't do that. I let other people wear that out.
Oh. I remember, Martin.
And then I tell you what, I have so much respect for people who do that, though. It's a very serious undertaking.
Yes,
I have a guy who, my friend Rufy, Richard Barnes, here in Claremont, he's a right brain luthier. I forget whether it's right or left, which is the left brain is the mathematics. Anyway, whatever.
Right.
The side of the brain that takes notes in 25 years of repairs. He took notes on every single aspect of every single instrument that ever came across his bench. So much so that Martin Guitars started consulting with him about when they build new guitars or restore older guitars, what was the exact grams on that bridge? How much did it weigh? What was its exact size? And the LA Philharmonic goes to him for their ancient instrument ensembles and stuff. Doing that kind of thing can be,
because he knows how to do it. He knows what's involved with. He's the expert. He's an expert on that.
Yeah.
And you need that stuff sometimes if you are restoring an ancient instrument, an old instrument.
When you're doing new stuff, I consult with him all the time. I come up against a problem and it's okay, I want to do this. What would you do?
And he knows it. He's Luther in Strasbourg in 1842, solved that problem.
Back in the 1460s, he did. And actually, that's how it works sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of these, that's fun. Some of these things, it stretches over so many centuries, and art and craft form like that you can dip into so much. It's a huge reservoir to play with.
Oh, yeah. And musical instruments, number one, there has never, if you had a kid, whether it was in the 1500s or 2 years ago, you have a kid that goes to school and they figure out that playing a musical instrument's a good way. Just get ready to write a check. You know what I mean? Because it's never been cheap. And don't think, girls, I'm not leaving you. If your little girl goes to this happened to a friend of mine. Oh my God. He was literally almost crying. As close as you can get when you're talking to one of your guy friends of crying. I'm like, I could hear it in his voice, this catch in his throat. I said, what happened? What happened, Eddie? What was going on? He goes, my daughter went to a birthday party, sleepover this past weekend. And I'm like, okay, what happened? And they had horses. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I felt so bad for, because he doesn't have a farm. He doesn't have a place to keep a horse. So that means he's got to get the horse, pay to have it stored somewhere, fed and taken care of. It's so expensive.
It's a joke, either that or if somebody decides they want to be a musician, I'm like, run as fast as you can. I think I may have pissed off half my band. A great thing about now, there are so many more women in music than there were as I was coming up. It's no longer just a boys' club anymore. And same thing with luthiery as well. Some of the best luthiers I know are out there who I've learned a great deal. Kathy Wingert is one, just a name drop, but it's a different world. So yeah, I did start playing music.
Yeah.
I don't know, it'd be fun to, I've never asked that. I should ask Norel or Elizabeth, did you start singing because the boys would like it? Or do they have a deeper, more heartfelt, more soulful reason for doing it than I started with?
Absolutely. Yeah. I got into seriously doing art because of a band. I didn't even really know anything by this band. I didn't know much about them. Some girl in my high school, junior high, she had long legs and I liked those. She wanted to go see this band. And I got to tell you, I mowed lawns and cleaned machines at my dad's machine shop. I did all this stuff to put pennies in a can so I could take her to see this band. It was Duran. This was in Detroit, and so we went to this concert, and it was a great concert, but there were 15,000 girls there. It was amazing. I'd never seen that many girls in one spot. And the bass player, the guy, I didn't even register. I didn't clock it, but the guy looked like a model. He went to the lip of the stage, and he was pumping the crowd up, as people in bands do, especially a rock band or a pop band. He's putting his hand to his ear, and I can't hear you. And they're all going, he's pumping the crowd up. And when he first came to the lip of the stage and put his hand to his ear, I saw 15,000 girls lose their mind. And what that told me is I needed to get a bass guitar. stat as soon as I could. Just the power of seeing that happen. I was so taken with that. So we get home, and I paid my older sister to drive us. She was the chauffeur. And I get home, and my dad was sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in. And he asked me, he was still up, and he said, "Hey, how was the concert? Did you have a good time?" I told him the bass player story. I said, "Dad, I need a bass. Quick. How much are they? Where do I buy them? What do I need?" And he shook his head, and he sighed, and he looked down, and he said, "Son, we have had a baby grand piano in the living room your whole life. It's in there. I have never once seen you sit at it, play chopsticks on it. He goes, you listen to music, but I've never seen you show any interest." And I said, "Dad, 15,000 girls, okay? I get it. And he's, what you should do is focus on what you are good at." He goes, "You're drawing constantly. You never stop drawing. You've always been drawing. As a kid, you drew. Now you draw. Earlier today, I saw you drawing. You're into that. Maybe if you focus and got serious with that, you can have that bass player moment, but with your drawings or your paintings or sculpture, whatever, because that's your thing." And of course, my dad just didn't get it. He wasn't at the show, at the concert. Fast forward a couple years. I'm in art school in Boston, and we were so poor. But we used to go to this Irish bar called the Harp and Bard, and all the kids from the school hung out there, a lot of them. And I was in there with my friends, and we're talking school stuff or bitching about a teacher or something. And this group of girls comes in from the performing arts side of the school. Yeah, they weren't from the visionary side.
You said Boston?
Yes, it was Boston, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And this is Boston UMass crowd.
Uh-huh.
I finished up at the museum school. But anyway, this group of girls comes in, and they're all ballerinas. They're all into dance, and they were looking mighty fine. And I don't know, I was like, I can't afford a girlfriend right now anyway. It's okay, but it's not bad to look. And I started sketching on a cocktail napkin. It took about 3 minutes, and the whole group of girls, there was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, were over our table immediately. "Oh my gosh, it looks just like her," and blah, 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 blah. And they wanted to come over and model for drawings. And I was like,
your moment.
Yeah, it was like Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes, like my father appeared, a misty version of my father there going, "Yeah, see, I told you, kid. Dad was right. That worked real well." It was my moment. But it got me out of bed many a day. Anyway, yeah, but it's so true. And there is nothing more, and it can be applied to anything. The reason people go to sports matches and watch Michael Jordan bring a basketball down the court is there's something about watching people that have passion in whatever it is they're doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm in the creative world. I like watching that stuff. Somebody that's really good at what they're doing, it's so satisfying.
It is. We all have a kind of a different language of doing it. There's a lot of different ways of performing, but we do like to do that. And I read somewhere that it's because we're actually living those moments inside our head. There's a part of us that is actually experiencing it as if we were the person that we were watching it. And that's one of the reasons why people connect so deeply with performance, whether it's sports or music or dance or theater. We live the stories that we're seeing. And that right there is more powerful than any sort of division that anyone ever made up between us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's art. I tell people all the time, in art, and whatever it is, it doesn't matter what kind, the artist has two paths. And when you break it down to the atomic structure of it, the artist can either distract from the world or comment on it. That's it. Yeah. And you're doing one or two things, and both are equally as important. Both are equally important.
Yeah. Well, there's also two different kinds of mirrors. There's mirrors of show the world a mirror of what it is and show the mirror of what it might be or could be or used to be or any number of those kinds of things. It's
crazy.
Let's play another tune.
Let's do it. I was just thinking that. Let's definitely go. Let's go with, should we go with Thick Moon Paint this time around?
Sounds good to me. That's Elizabeth hanging, and she's going to sing her arse off.
Here it is, everybody. This is the Baldy Crawlers, Thick Moon Paint. Check it out.
I love to see the thick moon paint wrap you around. The wind and light have conversations about you. And when the breeze has had its say, you rise to me, surrounding me in thick moon paint, and everything is alright. I see you in thick moon paint. I see you in thick moon paint. I love to hear the soft praise beat speaks to me of things I most need to say to you. If loving is a loss of self, I'd gladly let go. If I could lay in your arms forever, and everything would be alright. I see you in thick moon paint. I see you in thick moon paint. A thing that I could give back to you, just name it and I'll do my best to surprise you. If loving is a loss of self, I'd gladly let go. If I could lay in your arms forever, and everything be alright. Na na na, na na na, na na na, na na na, na na na.
And we're back. Amazing track. Amazing track. Yes, Elizabeth certainly did, Martin. You called it. Great track. Now, let me ask you this. With a track like Thick Moon Paint, the time from conception, having the idea, you're driving your truck down the road or something, or you're in the shop, whatever it is, where that spark was ignited for that idea for that track, that project, to where we are now, promoting it and whatnot. It's out, it's finished. And is that a long period, or is it, and is that typical, or does it vary from project to project?
It really does vary from project to project. And I was actually trying to remember, those words were written some time ago. And I'm actually trying to remember what I was doing, what I was experiencing, where I was in my life that made me write that song. And I can't actually even remember. It's amazing. But this one, it was music first. A lot of them are. I'm noodling with the guitar when I'm watching sports. Sports are a thing that's in the background. Some people sit down in coffee shops and the hubbub just kills the inner dialogue enough that another part of your brain can start working. In this case, and for me, I'm a soccer fan, so I'll have that going. And it somehow carves out a space for these things to show up. But the music on that one happened first, and that first line, that first guitar line, da, 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 was just there. And just the idea of Thick Moon Paint came up. Sitting here at night, the full moon's out there, and it colors everything. Nothing looks like it does under a full moon, especially if it's just rained recently, things like that. There's just a whole vibe and a mood there. And just the idea of seeing someone you love in that paint. And it started from there. But it also somehow had some grief in it there too, which is why I basically stole the melody from Taps and wrote some other chords underneath that. And that's where that came from as well. And I don't know exactly why I put those two things together. Sometimes it's like that. It's just, okay, that's where it's going, and that's what I allowed it to do. But it sure gave her a platform to go off on at the end.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm always so impressed. One of the things I'm jealous as an artist about my musician friends is you can do a track and there's a relatability to it. The listener will put themselves easily. I think it's easily done with music, a good track. They can say, oh yeah, I'm there. I've been there. And they hear that track with a different point of view than everybody else. So as a musician, you haven't only wrote one track, one song, you've wrote 10,000 songs because it's all different for everybody. You know what I mean? And
that's a really cool thought. I like that.
Yeah. It's very jealous because if I paint a painting of, I don't know, the gal reaching for her gun under the pit, it's pretty much story. That's pretty much, there's not a lot of nuance to that. Maybe with abstract, you could get more of that. But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's so cool and good track. It's just amazing. And no, I'm not saying some band from San Francisco, some punk band that didn't put a lot of thought, but I'll tell you, a lot of the punk bands I have known do put a lot of thought into their stuff when they got something to say. But not all, but it's cool when you hear something done so well. I listen to your music and I'm like, man, this is just done really well.
It's just, it's crazy how it ended up being where it's at, because I certainly didn't plan this. It's a long and weird winding road, but if you allow yourself to go these different directions, there's going to be some times that are pretty dark. I lived a number of years where I'm hovering at the poverty line. Right. So it's not to say that it's easy, because it's not at times. But when you get to a position where, lucky enough now that I can do this and still feed myself and have a roof over my head, it's nothing fancy, but it's doable. But you get to that point and you're able to tell these stories, and how this came from just a means of marketing the guitars and stuff meant that it made me think of this because you were talking about punk bands. They can write some pretty deep songs, but it's a little bit limiting in the scope of what they can talk about. And because I came from this, not thinking in terms of trying to be a particular this kind of band or that kind of band, and so I have to write that kind of thing, I'm a lot more free to write whatever the hell I want to.
And that's the secret. Any of the youngsters out there listening to this, I don't care what kind of art you're doing. I don't care. Don't limit yourself. And they'll tell you the exact opposite in art school. They do. They're like, develop your style. I don't care about style. I'm like, I get up in the morning, I paint what I want to paint. I paint what I need to paint. That's the thing. And the key is to try to get your skill level to where it doesn't matter what style of painting you're doing. It's still good. Consistent. You know what I mean? That's at least the challenge for me that I challenge myself with. And that means if I get up and I want to paint a landscape, I'm going to paint a landscape. If Martin gets up and he wants to do something a little more rockin' or whatever, that's what he's going to do. And that's so freeing. When you take the restrictions, take off the reins, man. Let it go. And I'll tell you, you'll find your brush. That's what they always say in art school. Find your brush, meaning
I like that.
But you got to try stuff. You can't limit yourself. That's just foolish. That's foolish. But it's interesting. Sometimes you can make a lot of money. You look at the number of rock bands that are our age that have had their fun and whatnot. And now you see them. What are they doing? They're doing soundtracks for big movies and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because they understand arrangement. When you've done it 1,000 times, no matter what you do, if you do it 1,000 times, we've learned this lesson from our sports friends. When you practice and our musician friends, you get better, usually.
What is that, the 10,000 rule or something like that?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it's a thing because once you find a voice, which just happens, once you find a voice, you can say as much as you want to. You can say whatever it is that you want to. And the music industry doesn't particularly like that. The music industry these days, it's almost come full circle. It's a weird thing because as pop music started becoming pop music, it was very much niche. This was the kids' music. This was what was on FM radio, and this is what's on AM radio. And then a little bit later, people like, say, Sly Stone came in, and they were doing something that the record industry wanted to be a niche. And he was like, no, everybody's invited to this party. And everybody came to that party. And that was, for me, that was a really milestone in modern music, that era. And everybody really was invited to the party. But since then, it's gone off into so many niches and sub-niches and stuff like that, almost intentionally separating us. But it's coming back into this full circle thing now, where a lot of the kids want to hear mashups. They want to hear genres that are totally mixed up in ways that they've never heard before. They've got names for some of these things that plug-in B, Pluggnb. I'd never heard of that until just a little while ago, but it turns out I actually write that stuff. I had no idea that's what I was doing. But that's the funny thing about this is all of a sudden, these kids today, they're able to actually go out and find almost anything. And so there's no reason to limit yourself to any one particular niche or, I want to go after that crowd or this crowd. Just do what you're doing and somebody's going to find you, is the way it's turned into.
I mentor some young people in the art business. I don't teach people how to paint. I'm like, you got to figure that out however you can. But if you want to take your business of art to different levels, then talk to somebody who's done a bunch of stuff. And one of the things I tell these new people in that world is that I completely forgot what I was going to say. I'll have to cut this out. See, there you go.
I do that. I'm amazed I haven't done that yet so far.
Oh, no. But look around. No, what I was going to say is look around. Look around and be inspired by different things. I was reading a biography about Black Sabbath, and they came up with their music because at first what started the avalanche was they saw horror movies. And they're like, this theater's full. Obviously, people like this stuff. And so they start doing that kind of stuff in their version of it. You can be inspired by anything. It's amazing. And a good idea is a good idea. When you go through the drive-through at McDonald's and they ask you, would you like to supersize that? There's a reason they do that. And you might be able to apply a similar thing in whatever you're doing. Oh, would you like that frame? Would you like less matted or whatever? Just be, a good idea is a good idea. And that's all I'm trying to say. It is, on that note, see, now I'm all discombobulated, but what can you do? What can you do? How about Bring Me a Flower next? Should we play that one?
Yeah, we shall. Let's do that. This one, I do want to give a little bit of a preface to, because I did write this one for a reason. And it's weird how the reason dropped on me, but I saw an article and it was about the Vigilantes Oscuros. And it's an old legend, and centuries old legend. And it's not just in the mountains above Big Sur in California. It actually, variations of this have shown up in mountain ranges all over the world, but they're the Watchers, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's actually, in this article, they talked about some of the physical reasons why people see them and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, come on, don't destroy the mystery of this thing, these science technicalities and stuff. But what dropped on me was the idea of using that to tell another story, to tell the story of people who are coming to this country and finding not what they thought they were going to find or hoped to find. And from that point, it just wrote itself. And literally in less than 10 minutes, the song was there. But it was probably my entire life coming. Everything I've experienced in my entire life put me in a position to see it in that way. So though it happened very quickly,
but it's right.
Of a lifetime.
I'm telling you, people with my art, everybody assumes, they're like, Jamie rolled out of bed, he knocked that out. No. Sometimes, very rarely will that happen. I celebrate those because it's such a rarity. They don't see me fighting the painting, wanting to throw it in the street and jump up and down. That happens daily. I haven't lost a gunfight yet, but I've been on that street at high noon many a time with a painting, metaphorically speaking, for those of you at home. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. I will say on the Watchers, if you're into that kind of stuff, paranormal, weird, unexplained things, when you're done watching this video, type in search on YouTube for a channel called The Y-Files. And this guy, AJ, over there does a heck of a good podcast on that kind of stuff. When you get to their page, they have a little search bar there. Type in The Watchers. And I think he has an hour podcast on it. But it's weird. It's weird and creepy. But I like how I have done that, and I'm trying to do more of it, even today, where you take established mythology, weird stuff that happened, and then you build a painting around it or a track around it. That's exciting to me because I'm doing it. Yeah. The idea is
stories to tell stories, so it's a meta story. It's a story about a story that told a story.
Exactly.
I love that kind of stuff.
It's so cool. Anyway, folks, I could really go off on a tangent on this, so I'm not going to. But here is Bring Me a Flower, the Baldy Crawlers. Check this out.
Bring me a flower, thou dark mountain watcher. I'll bring you myself and I'll grant you a boon. I can see that you're lonely all the way across the water of the lake in the valley bright under the moon. They say that you've been there on the ridge over centuries. They say that you've seen when the times are afraid. Yes, and I feel the same as the mist that surrounds you on the ridge in the mountains of Santa Lucia. Highway vigilantes oscuros, highway, highway where the mountains can keep them at bay. Highway to the place where La Lucha won't find me, and the hounds of La Migra do all lose their way. And bring me a flower, and I'll bring you sweet candies. Always in these simple gifts there is a peace. You were hero, dark watcher in the long years before me, and I pray that you'll be here when I've taken away, when I've gone as far as a memory can, and a child of my children comes for you to sing. Highway vigilantes oscuros, highway, highway where the mountains can keep them at bay. Highway to the place where La Lucha won't find me, and the hounds of La Migra do all lose their way. Highway vigilantes oscuros, highway, highway where the mountains can keep them at bay. Highway to the place where La Lucha won't find me, and the hounds of La Migra do all lose their way. And the hounds of La Migra do all lose their way.
And we're back. We're back. An amazing track. Her voice, there's a tagline in your press kit, Martin, that says, haunting folk Americana, that just, I love it so much. Why didn't I? That's one of those ones you hear and you're like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? Oh, it's such a good idea. And this track...
Well, it's supposed to stick with you. It's meant, I hope that it sticks with someone. I hope that they hear it once and it stays with them. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this with no shame whatsoever, but the first time I heard Norel sing that song, I was in tears.
Oh, yeah.
Within seconds of her beginning it, because to hear something that was an idea of yours executed, that's not even the right word, made real, realized by someone with her incredible talent, it's like nothing else I've ever experienced. It's just so wonderful.
It blows me away. I heard that track and I was so moved. It reminded me, not the track, folks, not the music, not the way it was done, reminded me of a track I had heard many years ago on Nate O'Connor's first album, The Line That the Cobra. The track's called Jackie, and it's about this wife, and she's waiting for her sailor husband to come home, and she's watching the sea. And you find out as the track comes along, the wife's a ghost, and she's always waiting for him to come home. And I just got goosebumps. And I got those same goosebumps, that same not vibe, just from the performance level from when she sang this. When I first heard it, when it came in with the press kit and whatnot, that was the first one I heard, and I was just like, oh, this is important. I felt, what was his name in Close Encounter with the mashed potatoes? This means something. This is important. That's where I was at.
Wow.
You take notice of good art. You can't help it.
Well, nothing could. It in the past was a little more difficult than it is now to even talk about something like that, about how it makes me feel knowing that someone else heard that and felt something as deeply. It's more fulfilling than almost anything I can think of. The next thing is to get out there and start doing this stuff live, which we've done a few shows. We haven't really taken it out there on the road yet, and we certainly hope to do that. But there's nothing like being able to do something like that live. I just really can't wait to see people and just look at their faces as she sings that song and many of the other ones that she's doing as well, because I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to see them do the same thing that I did. They're going to feel exactly what I felt. And it's going to be really cool.
I was watching an interview with this band called Pulp, and they were real big in the 90s in England, part of the Britpop scene. And the lead singer was talking, and they had worked for years. Everybody thinks, oh, this new band. They don't see the 15 years it took them to get to be a new band. And they got their chance, and they were playing some big Glastonbury or something, some big festival. And he goes, usually at these gigs, you can't see the audience because of all the stage lights blind you. And he goes, something happened, and the stage lights went down, like there was a fuse blew or something. He goes, I don't know. But the lights went down, and I saw 30,000 people singing my song back to me. And I almost lost it.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Can't even. I was like,
I've had some bright moments playing live before, but nothing ever that big. One thing I've noticed, though, is a lot of the guys playing out there now in their light shows, they make sure that there's at least a few throughout the course of the show, things where they show the audience. And it's the audience to see itself, of course, which is really important. But a lot of it is for the band to see the audience.
Play off of it, yeah.
It's okay. There are real people out there. It's not just this wall of noise. But like that, that's
a good show. I know this will sound, and no offense, Martin, but for everybody else, this will sound very California. I apologize for this, but there's something magical about music and seeing live performances. I've never seen it in any other artistic genre. And that's when the band comes out, they're playing, and they're building this energy, and it goes out to the audience, and then the audience builds it even more. And like there's this weird tennis match that starts where they're throwing energy back and forth, and it's building, and then there's a crescendo, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Everybody who's ever been to a live show feels that. So it might sound California woo-woo and shit like that, but it's the truth. That's why people go. That's why I go.
Absolutely.
People go because, and it's not just the band either. It's this whole huge "this is us" sort of thing. You know what I mean? And that's why an audience can get so deeply into a particular artist, because they feel like all these other people in this audience are feeling, and they have the same values as me. They care about the same things that I do. This is us. And
you see it in sports matches. Sports fans will get that way.
That's for me, it's a great outlet, because I'll tell you what, from my full range of expression, all the expletives, there is no outlet better than that. Oh, and then maybe me in the shop a little bit now and then. But sports, man, I'm telling you, the words I use, my neighbors who are actually pretty far away, that where I'm at, there's a good deal of space, but I guarantee they hear me. And it's like, what must they think? There's a few neighbors who I haven't really met yet, and I must scare them.
It's amazing. I told my wife, in our neighborhood, we live in this upper middle class neighborhood, and then there's this big canal over on the A1A, and then it becomes the ultra wealthy people live over there. You see the mega yachts and stuff like that over there. And it's great at Christmas time to drive down the A1A and look at Christmas lights, because they pay people a lot of money to do this. It's beautiful. But I always told my wife, it used to be, I said, when I can afford a yacht that has a helipad, or a smaller boat can open and a smaller boat comes out, then you're successful. Whatever you're doing is working from a monetary point of view. And then one day we were at her in-laws. They always have these hockey parties over there because they're really into hockey. And my father-in-law is like you. He is into it, man. He is into it, and he should be coaching the team apparently. And I told my wife, I said, one day I will be wealthy enough to pay the team, like in the middle of something, to stop what they're doing, look at the screen and say, Terry, what should we do next? His brain would blow up.
That's like that show Pluribus, You seen that? Yeah. What a show. Yeah. And I absolutely know what the coach should be doing in almost every instance. And that's a funny thing too, because the way things are now, I usually can't justify the time to watch when they're getting played. So I'll watch games later, but I still, deep in my soul, know that I can influence the game. I will influence the game by shouting and just by pouring that energy into it. I know that, and that's why that's one of the things about sports is influence. You really do believe that your fandom, your energy that you're pouring into it can change the outcome. And I don't know that anybody consciously thinks that, but I'm telling you, it's the truth.
The amazing thing about sports, a lot of people don't realize, it doesn't matter what sport you're doing, is it's a chess match. It is going on. That coach is super important, as important as the players executing the strategy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And
And there's layers and layers of that. And different sports are different too. Yeah. Some sports, the manager or the coach or whatever you call them is calling things like constantly, like in football, every single play is called. In a sport like world football or soccer, as we call it here, and here's one of the reasons why. The first reason why I started watching that a lot, no commercials. Yeah. The play starts at the beginning of the game and it goes a whole 45 minutes plus stoppage time, as they call it, without a single commercial. Not one.
And that is the problem
with it. Of movement and stuff. And the coach can do some things, but most of his influence happened in training.
Right. He's out of it because he started that ball rolling. But things happen that you can't.
And at halftime, they can do things like change up positions or, as they call it, shape and stuff like that. And you can definitely see when coaches do that. I was a Laker fan from when I was a kid, okay? An absolute nut job Laker fan. But even then, through those years, I didn't get into it the same way that I have with footing.
Nobody's riding at a Laker game. You might get a win, there might be a ride, but usually not with the Lakers. But
my grandpa was into it too, so I had been watching Lakers since Happy Hairston played. We're talking a long freaking time ago. But the gist of it is that it's another kind of an outlet than other performances are. Performing art. Music is not a competition. I don't need to shout at the band to tell them what they should do next. It's more of a shared sort of thing. I think they're both as important as
But
each.
sometimes that shouting happens in the studio. I did just watch a documentary about the Police.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I thought they were all best buddies, like all the bands I know. No.
Well, through most of my career, I was in bands where that kind of stuff happened. Now I'm the boss, so I don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. Right. Now, the truth is, I'm working with people who are so sweet. They're just sweethearts. And
you get to a point you want to. I asked a friend of mine. She's younger, and in the country world, she lives in Nashville, and she is what they call a hired gun a lot of the time. That's how she makes a lot of money.
Sure.
And what that is, folks, is when a band goes on tour and Brad, the bass player, can't make it because everybody has lives, things happen. They'll get a hired gun to learn all the tracks and play that person's part on the tour, usually.
And some musicians are better in a studio and maybe not so great live. So sometimes they'll just do it that way. Okay, here's our live guy. Here's our studio guy. That happens with drummers quite a lot.
Absolutely. I asked her, I said, so you've been technically on 150, 200 tracks. You know what I mean? You've been worked with this number of bands. How do you do that? You're quite young and she's good looking. Yeah, that's true. But musicians don't care. They want results. You know what I mean? They're very talented.
You don't hear that. You don't hear how beautiful I am when I'm playing.
Right.
Whatever.
But the thing was that she told me something very important, and this applies to all business, all endeavors. She said, the secret is be a good hang. Be fun to be around.
Your back is a road boy, a road for your shadow, and all of the darkness in the world to cross is paved with memories of the world's heartbreaking loss. Your mind is a bridge, boy, a bridge for your story, and all of the tales that the world can tell, they're fueled by the juice of everything the world has ever felt. I've never seen his face. I've never seen his face. I've only seen what takes his place when he's not looking. At least not for me.
Okay, Boy is the latest release that just came out earlier this month, and I got to say I'm really proud of how that one came together. Everybody's contributions in the track were pretty wonderful. I mean, instantly felt the song and felt the mood and were able to do that. And it took very little direction on my part, which was pretty cool. But where it came from is the really interesting thing too, because, you know, I had some chords and sometime later, I don't even remember what I was doing, but it was something else entirely. All of a sudden that line, "Your back is a road, boy," just popped in and, you know, brain went ding, you know, and you just, you know, when something comes up like that, you just want to pay attention and maybe get quiet. And so I did. And there was the first verse, "Your back is a road, boy, a road for your shadow. And it's paved with the memories of the world's heartbreak and loss." And the rest of it came from there, but it had its own direction. I didn't know where it was going or what it was going to be about. And I didn't even really know when it was finished. It was only, you know, significantly later when the song was actually fully produced and out and ready, that later I listened to it and, you know, kind of in context of what's going on in the country now with all of us. And it just made me think, you know, perhaps it's about the fact that every one of us at times feels like we're carrying the world, and we're not really. We never are really, but it sure feels like that sometimes. And you know, just understanding that no one of us is doing that. We all, you know, are doing this together. And I see that coalescing out there in the world right now. You know, people coming together and carrying it amongst themselves. And, you know, if it can do that for someone, then I'll call it a success.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on, Jamie. I'll tell you, it's an honor, honestly.
Yeah, anytime, my friend, anytime. It is. I've had so much fun, and folks, we've had some little audio problems and video problems. Actually, more video than audio. And so we're going to wrap it up tonight because it's going in and out. We're having some issues with it, but we went a long time. So very, very cool. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy, everybody.
This has been pop art painter Jamie Roxx's Pop Roxx Radio Talk Show. It has been executive produced by Jamie Roxx, recorded at his studio in Deerfield Beach in South Florida. All rights reserved by Pop Roxx Limited. Hannah Oli, Pop Roxx Radio. Estás escuchando Jamie Roxx de Pop Roxx Radio. Manténganse al tanto.
Hej, det här är Hicks från Sverige och ni lyssnar till Pop Roxx Radio med Jamie Roxx.